Hey guys, so the other day we had my buddy Ken. He owns Order a Plumber. He's a good friend of mine. We connect on a lot of jobs together. We had him in to discuss how he started, where he is now. We talked about various different things. So have a listen. I hope you guys enjoy. Well, first, what we should do is probably talk about how you started after
Yeah.
high school,
All
or
right.
in high school, whatever you
Right.
want. Take it from there.
Yep.
So you got out of high school, you started working right away, or what'd you do? Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college, but I basically started from at 12 years old.
Right.
That's my story. I tell everybody. My
Right.
brother's in the industry. He owns a plumbing company, successful guy.
Right.
He was 30 years old, starting his own business.
Right.
He had gotten into it because his father-in-law owned Mill Place Heat Right.
Okay.
Back in the 70s and 80s, and built a successful oil plumbing business.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought my brother and taught him, and then he ended up selling that business. My brother's father-in-law sold it to General Utilities back in the 80s.
Okay.
And sold out. So then my brother went on his own and started.
General, which is now Petro.
Yeah. So, my brother went out, started his own business. I was 12 years old. I was basically went to my mother at the time, and I knew he was starting his own business. Said, "Can you call up Billy and see if I could work with him on the weekends?" Because I just wanted to make some extra money.
Right.
And she did, and he took me up on the offer, and I basically worked with him pretty much every weekend, summers, whenever I could. He always wanted me, to be there as a helper, just sitting on buckets, cleaning fittings, basic stuff.
Yeah.
12 years old, what are you going to do? But he had me doing a lot of stuff.
Right.
So I worked all through, high school. Mm-hmm. I did go to college. I went to college. I was,
Did you do
I have a
four
master's degree
years?
in criminal justice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I went for, but I didn't finish.
Yeah. So I went for that. I was going to go to law school.
Uh-huh.
So I was in an accelerated program at CW Post at the time. I got my master's degree in 5 years, and then I decided I was still working all through college.
Right.
On the summers, any time
All
off.
plumbing.
Yeah,
did,
all plumbing. I worked. I would just go home and work for my brother.
Right.
I didn't do any spring breaks or anything like that. Never went on a spring break ever. Always just went and worked with him. And then
We always say that we miss a lot of Christmas. Well, Christmas for me because I guess you too because
Yeah.
winter being a plumber or a
Right.
mechanical guy, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of vacations, a lot of trips to Vegas or things that my friends went on bachelor parties. You miss all that.
yeah,
As you're
no,
working,
I
coming
didn't
up.
I didn't do that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was it. And then I decided I was like, what, I'm going to take a year off. In between going to law school, and I had plans to go to law school. And I just, in that year, I was working for my brother full time. I kind of got more involved with the business. I ended up buying a house because we were doing a lot of new construction. One of the builders built a new subdivision. Opportunity came up. And then with the house comes the bills and all this other stuff. And I kind of got wrapped up, and I never went back
Right.
to college, to law school. I just stayed working with him until, 2007. And then, I decided it was time for me to go out and give it a shot on my own.
Right, right.
And that's what I did. I left in 2007. And I
So
started
2007,
my
you
business.
started your company.
Yeah, yep.
So that's around the same time I started mine too.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect time to start a business, right? In the housing market crash 2007.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we didn't. What do we know? We started.
Yeah,
I
no.
only started out really doing service. I don't know how when you
Well,
started your company. What were you
a
geared-
lot of what my brother's company did was all new construction.
Okay.
So that's what I knew. I knew how to do service because
Okay.
I had worked in every facet of his company. He made sure that I knew how to do service work, that I knew how to run
Yeah.
construction crews, that I knew how to do everything. So, but I left him and was like, yeah, I'm going to go find some new houses to do, and it wasn't.
And then it all crashed.
It wasn't there,
Right.
So then I started doing, jobbing, service calls. I picked up some work in the city, helping guys that I knew in the city that had jobs, and that's how I ended up ultimately getting my city plumbing license.
Okay.
And then I just started doing jobbing and service repair, and I got all my licenses all over the place. Brings us to our next conversation. Long Island's got 30 some odd plumbing licenses, different incorporated villages, major townships.
Right.
I have New York City also, and with this, there's a responsibility to renew every 3 years, maybe every year if it's an incorporated village.
Right.
And you get all these licenses, you're trying to do the right thing and stay on the up and up, and that's what I've constantly done. Every time I do a job, if it's an incorporated village, maybe I have a job that I never heard of, I get the license, and
Yeah.
I keep it, and I renew it,
Right. Yeah, to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I just kind of, I did service and repair. I started to get into construction. I built it up, started getting to people in 2015. I changed the name to Order a Plumber.
What was it before? I don't know.
Metro National Plumbing.
Metro National,
Yeah, I don't know
okay.
where I came up with that name. People are like, where'd you come up with that name? I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those things we sitting around like, what's a cool name? What's going to make me sound
Exactly.
big time?
Yeah. So at that point, when you switched over to Order a Plumber, did you have a lot of employees? Did you have a couple of employees? Did you have how many?
Yeah, no, I had, at that point in 2015, I had about 5 guys, you know.
5 guys.
And then I decided to.
But you were running the office. You were making
Yeah, we
phone
were doing
calls.
construction and stuff like that, and then I decided to actually, I hired a service guy on, and it was like my first time that I was like, I'm going to go full bore into trying to make a steady service repair.
Kenny's story sounds a lot like my story, right? That's why we get along so good.
Yeah.
Unless
So-
you had plumbing equipment being delivered to
Well,
you.
2014, 2015 is when I hired Warren, and you knew to hire a legit guy, you got to have health insurance and all that stuff in place.
Right,
So that
yeah.
was the big leap, right? So
Yep.
probably the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you know, I had always offered that stuff, like, because I needed it for
Right.
myself, so I had it, and
Right.
you know, from coming from my brother's shop, he always had it, so
Right.
I always had some form, whether it was the best or not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe not, you know, but it was something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was my 2015 when I bought a brand new Ford Transit. I sticker wrapped it, order a plumber.
Right.
I started changing all my licenses over to order a plumber.
Right.
And I changed the name of the company to order a plumber. And I got one service guy, and I said, "You're just going to do service." And
Right.
my construction guys pitched in. They kind of all did their week of on call, and we did what we had to do to kind of get it rolling.
Right.
You know, and then that was it. Now we do a lot of service. We do a lot of still renovation, construction, you know, stuff like that. So we're a well-rounded company, you know.
No, absolutely.
So.
But back to the licensing thing, you know, I know you're pretty strong on this, and as am I, because I'm a restricted license holder. You're a master plumber license
Right.
holder. So it's always that sticky wicket, because the plumbers don't like the oil companies, because the oil companies do the boilers, and the plumbers want to do the boilers. And it's ever since I've been in the industry, it's always been that conversation.
Yeah.
So, but I find it's always I don't want to say it, it's the nicest way to say this, the older generation of plumbers that maybe never decided to grow their company, that want to kind of badmouth the other guys to kind of get the work, where really it should just be run a better business, be more competitive, get the jobs without having to, you know, handcuff anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's my struggle on my end. And, you know, as your end, you're saying that there's guys running around with no license that really, there's no backlash for them, really. If they get caught, there's no license to revoke.
Right.
You know, so it's an issue.
Yeah, I honestly think the licensing and lack of enforcement of licensing is the major problem for everybody. Like legitimate companies, and I'm not saying to be legitimate that you need to have 10 trucks and a bunch of guys in a big office. Like,
Right.
listen, if you're a one-man guy in a truck, you're licensed, you're insured, you're licensed where you work at, you have the right license to do the work that
You're
you're
held
doing.
accountable.
Yeah, and you're out there doing the work. That's fine. There should be no arguing between legitimate oil companies, heating companies, plumbers. Like sometimes we have overlap in work, but
Right.
like, listen, that's the market. Sometimes
Right.
you win some, sometimes you lose some.
Right.
But the reason it's becoming more competitive between oil companies and heating guys and plumbers trying to go after the same work is because a lot of the market is being eaten up by guys without licenses.
Right.
Guys in unmarked vans going out doing it on the weekends. Guys that work for companies and then go out do it on the weekends and they don't have license. They don't have they don't have the insurance, and they're going out and they're eating up the market. They're taking jobs away from the job pool that should be
For
there
the guys
for
who
the
are
legit guys.
paying the insurances, paying the
Correct.
payroll, paying the comp,
Right.
paying all the proper
Yeah.
everything.
Right.
So that's, well, like you and I have discussed, you know, we both feel pretty strongly on this, and where we like to think the younger generation coming up, which is basically what it is, even though I'm 38 and you're how old?
I'm 44.
You're
So
44.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm getting
but
there.
still, we're still like the younger guys in the industry. If you
Right.
really look at the industry as a whole, you know. So what we were discussing, Frank, is, and you tell me what you think about this, is we want to put it on the homeowner, where basically if you hire an unlicensed, professional or non-professional, whatever it is, if he's not licensed, if he's not reputable, and you hire him and something happens, then it's on the homeowner. They're not going to be able to go to the town for retribution or help or anything like
Yeah,
that.
because that's the first thing they do. They hire somebody, and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah," and even maybe the unlicensed guy doing a side job of doing this is telling them like, "Oh, I'm not licensed, I'm not insured." They might tell them up front. Homeowner's like, "Oh no, that's fine," until something goes wrong, and they call the guy, and the guy can't come fix it. Or worse, it's a bigger problem. There's a flood, or there's a puffback.
Well,
or
let me
there's,
ask you a question. We just came off a 9-degree weekend.
Yeah.
I had about, I would say close to 10 people call me that had other people put the product in, boilers, and had issues, and those guys didn't answer the phone. Probably 4 of them out of the 10, I did estimates for. So it's kind of like a prideful thing. Like, I did your estimate, I gave you a fair price, you went with the other guy, and now you want me to help you.
Yeah.
We did, because we have responsibility as being in this industry.
Right.
But it's kind of like, it's really frustrating because you went with the cheaper, unlicensed individual who probably doesn't have the proper insurance, so he can come in at a lesser price.
Yeah.
But he gave you an inferior job, and he decides to not answer the phone.
There's no
Christmas
service
weekend.
and support there, right?
No phone call.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get the guy for 3 days. How do you do that? So people don't realize. A lot of times in our service industry is they see when the technician's at the house, but they don't see all the back, the back office, the on-calls, answering service you got to pay for, all those things to get that technician to the house.
Right.
But that's how it is to run a legitimate company. And when these guys come in on the side and give a cheaper price, they accuse us of being, oh, you guys are ripping me off. When this is what we
Right,
have
that's
to
what
charge to live.
We're ripping them off.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then those people, I don't want to be mean, but they kind of eat their words when that situation happens. They
Correct.
hire the unlicensed, uninsured individual to do the cheaper job, and then he's nowhere to be found when there's an issue.
Right, and that's
So,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine runs a power washing service. Paul, he's listening, and he had mentioned that a lot of his competitors, so they're licensed and insured to the homeowner, they come in 80% cheaper than what Paul would come in at.
Right.
The licensed and insured means they have a driver's license and they have vehicles insured, not for work, but they are technically telling the homeowner they're licensed and insured.
Right.
The homeowner never asks, is your business licensed and insured?
Right.
They're selling it like we're licensed and insured.
Right.
Total scam. And I know that happens in the industry because I've seen it personally.
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear, because it's not the fact of like, hey, it's not fair, because your business is thriving, as is mine. We're both growing at a pretty rapid pace. It's just a matter of, sometimes you have customers call, like, how could you charge that? All right, well, come in when I sit with my accountant and really look at the numbers.
Right. Number one, the guys that show up, these guys are making good money.
Yeah.
These guys have health benefits. These guys have paid
Retirement.
time off packages.
Yep.
You name
Bonuses,
it.
Christmas.
Performance bonuses. They get. We got trucks on the road. We got all the insurance, the comp, the GL. This stuff is not cheap.
Right.
And it all goes in, and like you said, the people to answer the phones, the people that are non-revenue generating that work in your office, the people out here answering the phones right now, non-revenue generating, they have to be there as part of the service. Somebody calls, listen, this weekend was 9 degrees.
Right.
I was out all weekend. I worked all night Friday night. I worked all day Saturday. I worked all day Monday. Myself, I was out in the field with in one particular area. I was out with 2 other my guys. We had 3 other trucks rolling, and we answered every phone call that came in. Could we get to every single person?
Yeah.
No, but we did our best, but we picked up the phone.
But you vet the call. So if it's something like, I have a smell, but you have heat, unfortunately that has to wait. And people are very understanding of that. Not everybody is understanding, because it's a high stress situation, especially Christmas weekend and it's 9 degrees.
it's cold,
And everyone
yeah.
spent all their money on the gifts. Totally get it. But it's just, a situation that a lot of times can be avoided with proper service. And like I said, being legit and answering the phone and being here comes at a cost. Like even the answering service. Do you have an answering service company, or you guys answer the phone?
We actually have CSRs that work directly for us that answer the phones.
Okay.
During the evening and throughout the weekend.
So that's what we have, some
Right,
of that.
our people.
So they charge per call that comes in for us.
Right.
So a lot of times, and now I like communication. So we'll have Warren, Dave, Matt, and me always seeing the calls, and then the on-call text. So it could be 6 texts, and they charge you for the 6 texts. So it costs more, but it's better for us to make sure we know what's going on. But a lot of calls come in are like silly questions. We still get charged.
Right.
So it's kind of like, at the end of the month, it could be $2-3 grand in just answering phone call fees, and it adds up.
And a little hidden costs. We could go on all day
All
on the hidden costs. But
Yeah.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, for going back to the licensing thing, I think it's something that guys like you and I, like you said, the younger generation coming up, we need to, and I'll say it, protect the market.
Yeah.
And I just think that I had to go get I was made to believe from a young age that I could not do plumbing work on my own unless I went and got my license.
Right.
And I was insured, and that's what I did.
Yeah, because you don't want to get in trouble.
So, exactly.
Right.
So, I don't know where along the way that went to the wayside and guys got so brazen with it, they can literally just say, I don't need a license to do this work.
Right.
And for, townships to say we don't have enough code enforcement, or technically they don't need a license to change a flapper or do this. It's only if they want to go do a job and they need a permit, or if they do gas, or if they work on boilers. And I would argue that, like, listen, if you allow somebody an inch, they're going to take a mile. You let an unlicensed guy tell him it's okay to go around and fix flappers.
Right.
If he's in the house fixing a flapper and the customer has a problem with their boiler and says, hey, you mind looking at this? The guy's there to make money.
Right.
Next thing you know, he's going to be doing a boiler job.
Or
He's
if
going to
he's-
be adding a gas line.
Right, or if he's fixing
know?
a flapper and the thing overflows
So
3 days later. Yeah.
I would, right, you overflow, you flood somebody's
Who's
house.
paying for that?
Right, so
You know?
you're giving an inch, they're gonna take a mile. Like, why even give it? Like, I never believed that I could go out and pick somebody's flapper without a license.
Right.
You know, I started getting my license, and that's what I did.
Right.
And I think that, you know, through the PHCC, like, you know, the different oil groups, all these groups should be lobbying these townships to, like, protect the contractors. So
Right.
we're not arguing with one another.
Yeah.
And we're protecting the market. So, you know, and if I'm not saying if somebody wants to do the work, like, listen, let them go get the license.
Right.
Let them go get the insurance.
Yeah.
Let them do it the right
Give
way.
'em the
like,
opportunity.
like you and I had to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a couple different ways that we should be brainstorming and coming up and pushing and starting to push towns and plumbing boards to kind of put into effect. And some of it's going to be a long road, I think, but I think it needs to start being done.
Well,
like,
it's something
yeah.
that you know you need to raise awareness about, which is
Right.
why we do this podcast. For it has multiple layers. Like
Mm-hmm.
raise awareness for things in the industry, raise awareness for the kids and the stories of success and things like that. And you know, all of these things are important, but mostly, I don't think the homeowner is educated enough on this aspect because this is our life. You know,
Right,
like,
yeah.
There's a million things that you can learn and know, but you know that's not.
Mm-hmm.
They only have a problem once a year, maybe once every couple of years. So they're not entrenched in this, and they don't know any better. So there are the people who don't know any better, and then there are the people who are asking. You know, we send people to a service call that ask my guys, "Hey, do you do work on the side?"
Right.
Which is infuriating, but you know, it is what it is. That's
Yeah.
just people's mentality because they automatically think it's cheaper, which it is.
Right.
So
And that's what they're looking. They're looking to save $1, and you know, it's not. It's just at the end of the day, it's not right. I strongly believe that everybody should have a life. If I gotta have a license,
Yeah.
everybody else should have a license.
Absolutely.
The last thing these townships want now is for legitimate guys to start getting frustrated and backpedaling and be like, you know what? Why do I need a license? Why do I need to have marked trucks? Why do I need to do all this stuff above board?
Well,
you know, because if it continues to go down the road it's going to go, you're going to have guys coming up now that are trying to make it legit and haven't gotten over the hump yet, you know, to where maybe they're seeing some success. So just going to backpedal and be like, what am I wasting all this money for?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to get even worse.
we talk about
Yeah.
that all the time with you know building momentum.
Right.
And how long it takes to actually get that big boulder to move a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then get it to move a little more and a little more and a little more, and then finally you build some momentum, and then like you said, if some things happen that you may stop that momentum, then that big rock stops, and you know what it took to get it to move, and you're like, forget it, I ain't
Yeah.
doing that again.
Yep.
So it is. I see that point too, but you know, a lot of things have to change in the industry. I think a lot more will change with getting more youth into it and educating them the right way, which is really what we're geared up for.
Right.
Like we
Well,
just
I
had Rich in here last week. But
One of the things that we need to educate the youth on as we're coming up and pulling them into the trades is also teaching them from the get-go, from when they get in, that like, listen, you get into the trades, you learn your trades, you go work for a licensed contractor, you learn from them, they're going to train you.
Right.
And if you down the road feel like you're an entrepreneur, you want to go out on your own, like you have to get the license. There's a right way to do it.
Yes.
In a wrong way.
And you'll get help that way because you'll be in the right circles and knowing the right
Correct.
people to mentor you.
Yeah.
You know,
We-
which I'm glad you said because that's exactly the conversation we just had last week with Rich Schaefer, the town
Mm-hmm.
supervisor. So he's helping us push this boulder, I guess, with the charity that we're doing to help raise awareness for kids in the trades. But this goes for every trade, you know, not just us, but it's not only getting the kids interested, but it's also networking guys like us together that are
Yeah.
legitimate firms or companies, whatever you want to call it, and bringing these kids in here and then learning from legitimate people. Because our conversation we had is kids get in, they work for someone who may be a side work guy, they don't get paid or they don't get paid right. The guy doesn't treat them right, makes them work X amount of hours a day, and now you just took a kid who may have been a diamond in the rough and ruined him, and now he
Right.
never wants to be in the industry ever again.
Yep.
So part of that organization is going to help that as well.
Yeah, these kids
So,
I see it all the time where kids come, they get involved with guys and they're working and not getting paid correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to take time off. You know what I'm saying? They're getting yelled at. They're just, they're just not getting treated right. And like
Right.
that sort of stuff has to go away
Right.
at the same time as they're getting educated, they're getting steered to the right good contractors that are going to take care of them, do things legit, and then listen, help them. I have guys that have worked for me in the past have gotten their own licenses. Like listen, I fill out the paperwork for them, I help them.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah.
Somebody do it the right way.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and you're proud of that because you kind of
listen, they go out and they become my competitors, and it is what it is. They did it the right way.
Well, you link up and you work together, which
Right,
is what
exactly.
a lot of us do nowadays.
Yeah.
Like we link up all the time. Like it's just that's the way it goes. But
listen, I never look at my competitors as enemies. I got competitors that help keep the market where it should be. I got competitors that I work with all the time. And there's more that can be accomplished working together with your competition sometimes, especially if they're legitimate and they're doing everything the right way. So I agree with that 100%. Yeah. But we have a long road ahead of us. It's like a two-headed monster right now as far as bringing the youth back into the trades and getting them interested in building them up, and then at the same time on the back end, making sure that the work is there for all the legitimate contractors and trying to get some more enforcement out there to deter people from wanting to go and do the side work and do the jobs unlicensed and uninsured.
We had that conversation, and like as you look at everything as a business, as do I. I think that would be tough to hire more people to look for trucks, and because it's hard to know if that unmarked truck's a carpenter fixing a door, or so I think it's more of putting it on a homeowner where listen, you can go ahead and hire an unlicensed uninsured individual. Right. It's your responsibility to vet who you hire to bring into your house, but if something happens, the town is not going to help you. We're unable to help you because technically they're not able to help them anyway. Yeah. Because what are you going to do? Take a license away from an unlicensed guy? They
can't do anything. Right.
Exactly.
So listen, I agree with you. I think some should be placed on the homeowners to a certain extent. Like the homeowners have to be held accountable to their home. Like they should be hiring licensed contractors. They should know the dangers in using an unlicensed contractor. I think through lobbying and stuff, there is stuff that the towns can do. I think they kind of just like out of sight, out of mind. If nobody's complaining about it, they're not going to focus on it. But, you just said it with these unmarked trucks, and I get it in the past, unmarked trucks are becoming a problem because code enforcers can't tell what's what. I think that everybody that gets their license, when they get their license, they have to show proof of their business and all this other stuff. You should be required, forget about the little stickers they hand you to put on all your trucks. Right? When you got 30 something of them times however many trucks you got, like are they really getting on all your trucks? No. Yeah. But your trucks, the town should require the trucks. Every licensed contractor, whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, like you have to letter the truck. You have standard vinyl. You don't have to go spend $3,000 for a wrap, but standard vinyl, $500-700, whatever it is. Name of the company on the side so you could see it from a block away. Right. And that way, that's a requirement. You want to do business in this town, your truck has to be fully lettered with the name visible and not some made up ABC LLC on the side. It's got to say Ryan Anthony's, order a plumber. You got to these code enforcers, these inspectors have to be able to see what these trucks are. Right. And you know what? That's just one simple thing they can do. And you're going to tell me that you're a new guy getting a license, going out there in business, you're not going to want to spend the money to put your name big on the side of the truck. It's advertising. Right. What are you hiding that you don't want to put your name on the side of the truck? Yeah. So I mean, you got that. And then I would say hire more code enforcers. Then they're going to say, well, we need more money to pay the code enforcers. And I'll just say, listen, charge me more money to renew my license and every other licensed plumber and contractor. Right. Charge me 3 times the amount. I'm more than happy to pay it every 3 years.
Now the next problem that we discuss as well is customers don't want us pulling permits because how many customers don't have legal basements or they have an illegal shed or an extension that they did that's not on CO or a pool they put in. So it's really a sticky wicket, and the town puts the pressure on us to make sure that you pull every permit. Right. When the homeowner's basically like, I'm not doing that. And then what are we supposed to do? Say no to a job?
Yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes you have to walk away, or sometimes you just, you got to tell the people, like, listen, I have to pull, the permit, like we're figuring the permit in. We got to get it. We got to get the inspector here. And, the question that they always come back with, well, do you think the inspector's going to look in my backyard? Do you think the inspector's going to look on that side of the basement? And my answer to that is, I can't tell you. Right. I can't tell you where he's going to look. He's here to inspect my work. Right. And he's if he looks in offer, I tell him sometimes it does happen.
Yeah.
If the guy walks in the backyard and sees you got a shed and it's too close to the property line,
You're gonna get a letter in 30
you're
days.
gonna have to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, you just deal with it. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to pull, and sometimes it's not even as bad as people think.
Right.
You know, you just gotta go. You gotta pull
Jump-
a permit
jump
for
to
it.
the ropes.
You gotta get
Yeah.
inspect.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes, you know, the town knows what's going on. They got the people filed the permit for the variance, the shed, or whatever it is, and they just go through the process, and it costs them more money to get it, but then everything's up to code.
Right.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's tough because you get a lot of people again, and that goes back to people doing work, you know, that they
Right.
shouldn't be doing.
Well, with the construction company, you know, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. Like we have people all the time that want us to build something, but if you need, you know, architectural drawings and it's structural, you really got to pull a permit. And some
Right.
people say they'll call someone else, but that's on a bigger scale. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like granted, like putting a boiler in, you're there for a day, I get it. But like some people want us to build extensions on their houses, you know, 20 by 20 with no permit.
Yeah.
You know, it's foundation work and all this stuff. It's like, no, you can't do that. And then all they call us and say, can you give me a price on this? Do you have architectural drawings? No. Well, then there's no way I could price it
Right.
fairly. There's no way I could fairly price this.
Yeah,
without drawings,
I
at
hear
least
you, man.
drawings.
It
Yeah.
is a tough spot because, like you said, you're going there thinking, okay, I'm going to give a price for a job, I'm going to sell this job, I'm going to bring some revenue in, and then you get there and you kind of get hit with that. And now you're kind of caught in a tough spot. Like, you know, you want to do the work,
Right.
but you got to pull a permit, and the people don't want you to, and you know you got to try to come to a happy medium with the customer and get them to understand, like, listen, if we're going to do the job, sometimes you got to walk away from it.
Yeah.
You know, it happens.
That's tough to do. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just write into my paperwork that, you know, we advise you pull a permit.
Right.
And if you don't want to pull one, then that's on you. But we are on record saying that we advise you do it.
Yeah, no,
You know,
e-
and
every
everything's
job, right.
done to town specifications of what's needed, whether it's, you know, your backflows and everything else, and your carbon monoxide, smoke, all that stuff.
Right.
You know, everything's done where if you did need to pull a permit, it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we do recommend you do it, but I totally get it. You know, some people,
Yeah.
you know, it's tough, you know.
Yep.
So, but what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, right now there's just, like you said, you know, we need more kids in the trade, more youth in the trade, and we
Right.
need to protect our trades.
But
you know?
since there's not as much youth in the trade, do you find that there's less competition, or you still see that there's a lot of competition?
Competition as
As
far
far as like, if you did 10 estimates, how many of those estimates are you getting?
yeah, the
'Cause, like-
competition the competition is still there because the competition is not just with guys like us. It's with the guys doing the side work, the unlicensed guys, and that competition is because their prices are so much lower.
Right.
Because they're not paying insurance, they're not paying. A lot of times they're not paying payroll taxes. They're not doing everything above board. So, like, yeah, I would say the competition is still there. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to feel it, especially on the boiler side. When
Yeah.
you get these guys doing boilers on the side, guys doing them at night. You know,
Right.
how you
I
gonna
get it.
compete
I
with
get
that?
it. I mean, we
Yeah.
charge a fair number, so we do get a lot of our estimating, but I definitely find, you know, you get the person, like I said, like we lost. I know that for a fact that we lost 3, 4 this year alone because they hired the unlicensed guy, you
Right.
know, and they called us for the service.
Yeah.
So then it's like a pride thing. Do you help them or do you not? So we help them, but prideful. You want to be a prideful person, be like, well, now you used him to go
Yeah.
freeze, but we just couldn't
Listen,
do that.
we,
Yeah.
we always help them because it's our business, and as long as if they need our service and we're available and they're willing to pay for it,
Right.
why wouldn't we go do the job? You know, it's just that simple. But yeah, I think the competition is still there, and but the problem is it's getting less skilled because you're getting guys jumping into the trades. They learn how to do a couple little things,
They're
and they
getting
think all of a sudden,
overpaid.
like, I could do this on my own, and
Yeah.
they're starting to do little side jobs at night and this and that. Next thing you know, they're getting together with their buddies and they're throwing in boilers on the side on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And that's because they're not being educated properly. You know, they're working for other guys doing it. They're seeing all the wrong things, and then
Right.
on the other flip side of it, there's no enforcement to it.
Right.
So they're like, oh, I'm not getting in trouble for this. You know, there's legislation getting lobbied for and passed to go ahead and let's guys covering licenses like that. That's great. And yes, but you can only get those guys because those guys have licenses and they're just using it for the wrong thing.
Right.
You know, so why I just don't understand. It's my biggest frustration right now. Why are we just turning our backs on the guys without the licenses and letting them do whatever they can do and just throwing our hands up and be like, well, there's nothing we can do about it because they're not.
Right.
There's no documentation. There's no paper trail. So why is the guys that are licensed, right? We're the ones that has all the focus on us at all times, and rightfully so. I'm more than willing to take it. But if
Right.
I'm going to take it, like I want double the eyes on the people that are unlicensed, that are hurting me, hurting the town, hurting everybody. Like,
Right,
let's
exactly.
figure out a way to stop that,
Right.
you know?
Which is tough. Now, Frank, you're a homeowner. You ever have a guy you hired, besides me, obviously I put your boiler in, that you actually like went and looked at their licenses and what their insurances were and stuff like that, and actually, or you just kind of hired them?
No, we had Tommy
Well, that's
do that.
Yeah.
And then we had you do the boiler.
Right.
And then we had
But like anything else,
recommendations.
like
No,
the pool or anything like that, like
no.
So
I knew that they came reputable and they had licenses and they were insured.
right,
Because when something goes wrong, who who am I calling?
right,
It's my problem. They're not going to help me.
right.
You know. So no, definitely, it was always licensed and insured, reputable person.
Mm-hmm.
That came recommended by someone else.
Right.
Like Tommy recommended you, obviously, and I'm like, oh my god,
Right. Together.
definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be a negative on that end. What I had a question for during this cold spell. What was the call that you received the most?
No
Was
heat,
it-
frozen pipes.
No heat frozen pipes.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of burst pipes? Because we had a frozen pipe in the side of our house for upstairs.
Yeah.
We had to boil the water, put it down. You know what?
Yeah, we had a good amount of burst pipes. You know, when it gets that cold initially, the first is just frozen, nothing's burst yet. It's got to freeze,
Yep.
crack, and then thaw. So the broken pipes come after the fact. But yeah, initially it was, I had no heat. A lot of those calls were people that actually did have heat, but the system just couldn't keep up. You walk in, you're like, oh, it's 65. I got my thermostat at 75. It's not getting up to 75.
Well, that's what we mean by vetting the calls. Like, we had
Yeah.
a lot of those calls.
Right.
Like, you're not going to swing your house from 9 degrees outside to 75.
Yeah.
It's just not going
Yep.
to happen.
So, we try to squeeze those in. We do. Do you have heat? Yes. Does the boiler run? Some people don't know if their boiler's running. They can't find it. They don't. It's not. But, you always want to get to those because you're thinking, okay, your house at 65, you got it at 75. You start to think, well, what was it actually at 75 and it's dropping because the heat's out?
Right.
Is it going to be 55 in another 2 hours?
Right.
So, you try to get there. But to answer your question, it was no heats and a lot of frozen lines, And the frozen pipes, we vet those because if it's, those we have to pick and choose. I hate to say it, but if you got somebody that's like, my whole house is frozen and it's 9 degrees outside,
Yeah.
like we
You'll be the wrong
can't
guy.
tie up resources,
Right.
and there's a chance that we still might not get it done.
Right.
So we're not doing a service to the customer by saying, oh yeah, we'll come, and by the way, we'll charge you by the hour, and we'll sit there all day long, which people have actually wanted us to do. And ultimately, we're there all day long, charging a premium with thaw machines and extra guys, and we still can't get the house thawed out. So, we're like, what's frozen? My kitchen sink. Okay, is your kitchen sink? What about your bathroom? No, my bathroom's working. Everything else working? Yeah. Okay, run the faucets. That will hit because we know we can get in there with a thaw machine. And we can pop that inside of half an hour.
Now, what are your thoughts? Like years ago, obviously, it was a lot more thawing, but now with a lot of PEX.
Yeah,
Yeah,
PEX is great until you guys start thawing and you don't know what you're dealing with. We had a couple houses that we ran into. It was throw the thaw machine, just that. We bat them.
Right.
One individual homeowner was like, "Yeah, my laundry room is frozen, slop sink, and my washing machine. Everything else is fine." So we get a truck over there, throw the thaw machine on, and we throw it on immediately, and then. We start kind of do the section. The customer tells us, "Oh, this was added on." Okay, added on. When did they do it? Oh, it was just done 2 years ago. Do you know if they use PEX? Not sure. So we got to start going around the crawl space, see what we could see.
Right.
This particular house, we dug all the way deep in the crawl space and saw. We saw right where they tied it in. Right away, we knew it was PEX.
Right.
So pull the door machines, and then we get down there with like a heater.
You're able to
In the
snip
truck,
it, you just heated it.
We got it. We got a heater down there.
Okay.
We were able to get that particular customer. We were able to get them still on thought, and so
Okay.
the whole job is like within an hour we got them up and running.
Nice.
And once we get on thought, we just like leave everything dripping, a little trickle.
For someone like me, what's PEX?
PEX is the plastic piping that you run the heat loops, with Octaberry and the.
As opposed to what was it prior?
Copper.
Okay.
Which you could put the thaw machine on. It would. Some houses you were able to put a thaw machine on supply and return at the boiler, and it would melt it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rarely, but you did get lucky sometimes.
Yeah, that you'd always have. What I used to do is on a full heat zone frozen, you want to go, supply and return.
Right.
I always cut the return loose.
Yeah.
I valved off, cut the return so it doesn't go past least resistance through the boiler, and then you just wait it out.
Absolutely.
Sit there
From a bucket.
Yeah, sit a bucket, right.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah. No, that's exactly how we used to do it. I had one time, Mrs. Minetti.
who was my first customer ever. She had a dormer put on by, guy couldn't have been licensed, but her grandson actually worked for me for a short time. And pipes frozen, thawing, getting every jump, can't figure it out. It turns out, we said that there must be a pipe up in the attic. So now they dormed the house and they peaked it, but somehow they left old roofing. So we had to go through the closet. I had to cut the sheetrock through the closet, get up there. The old roof was still there. I had to circular saw a hole through the old roof, get into the crawl, and there was a 1/2-inch PEX line from one end to the other end. Like
Yeah.
probably like 40, 50 feet. And we just snipped it and ran, obviously insulated it.
Yeah.
And then, I forget if we ever went back to reroute that summer, but we insulated the crap out of it. But like, it was one of those like home things. It's like, what do you do here?
Right.
But war stories.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What would be your worst? That's probably one of my worst. But what would be your worst?
I can tell you the worst one that I actually wasn't on myself and my guys were on, and this was the last cold weather freeze bad that we had. I think it was 2017, where it was like for 2 weeks straight of 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Yep.
that was the time when we had people calling us, and the whole house is frozen, and we're like, listen, we got to charge X amount per man, and we don't suggest you do this. We had an old couple that called us.
Can you stop right there? So that we literally, like, Kenny's a legitimate company, and so am I. We tell people, we don't advise this. Why don't you wait till it thaws? They insist, and then the bill runs up, and it turns into an argument.
It does. So this is
It's
why,
always- and that's why I hate. Like,
I
people
hate
think you're just making money, hanging over fish. You're getting into arguments.
I would rather not have this cold weather. People like always like, oh, you must be happy. You're so busy. I'm like, no, this is stressful.
And my guys don't want it.
I don't like it. The guys don't want to do the work. It's hard on them. They're away from their families. This was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So like this isn't something that we look forward to, you know, and it's you're trying to, you know, listen, the guys gotta get paid.
Right.
Your guys that are working in the field, they gotta get paid.
Yeah.
You know, and they were making overtime, guys were on time and a half, you're paying them extra money to come in and leave their families. So like, you know, you have to be passing that cost along and making money. We tell people it's X amount of dollars per man, it's X amount of dollars for use a throwing machine, this is how much it is. But that particular story, we went to somebody's house, we said, listen, the whole house was frozen. Everything was frozen. The heat zones, the plumbing, the toilet tanks. They were away. Old couple.
It's not even in the shed.
They didn't get an automatic oil delivery. It was not. We were like, just forget it. The people their kids called us. They lived in California somewhere. They weren't there. Older kids. You know, I suggested.
I already know where this is going.
I said, listen, this is what I think you should do. I think you should get your parents a hotel and call your insurance company. The house is, no matter what, this is gonna be a renovation. Everything's frozen, major water damage, split pipes.
Right.
Best we can do is shut the water off, get them to a hotel, get them safe, get them warm.
Right.
No, they're staying in the house. We want you to stay there. So the whole thing. Long story short, they said, well, we want you to start get something working, get zone heat working. I'm like, all right, listen, if that's what you want, and people aren't going to go to a hotel, like now I feel obligated, like we got to do something.
Yeah.
I had probably
It
5
probably kicks in.
When I tell you,
Fucks you.
we had my guys worked there all night long. They were there till 3 o'clock in the morning, all night long. They did not leave. And they got one zone of heat working, replaced every split here, split there, this, that, cutting out, going around, getting it. And somehow we ended up getting, thank God the boiler was not cracked. But one zone of heat working. And I think we were able to get one sink working and valve everything else off in the house.
Right.
And it got so
Hopefully
bad.
just heated.
The people older, and the old man went over to his. He just started making like a fire in the middle of the house. Like he brought in like those outdoor fire pits, like brought it right into the middle of the house, and just started making a fire in the middle of the house. And my guys were like, "What's all that smoke?" They weren't paying attention. And he turned around, the guy's got a fire going like right in the middle of the living room. He's like, "Open the windows." They're trying to. And my guys called me, and I was out working on another job, and they called us like 1. That was like 1 o'clock in the morning. They're like, dude, this guy, we can't breathe in there. It's like smoke. I had to call the people. I'm like, sir, you have to put the fire on. You can't have a fire going in the house.
Yeah, you
like,
can't do
you know,
that.
this is how. But that's how crazy people get.
They
And I would say that's not even crazy. I feel like the guy was legit, like just trying to stay warm.
Right.
You know, I don't want to call anybody crazy, but like that's how these people. That's how people get in these
But what
situations.
happens is they get desperate. I'll pay anything.
Right.
Right. You sure? You're like, we'll like triple check. Like this is if you're because what's happening is you're taking us away from someone else who needs us.
Right.
Where we could also be making money.
Yeah.
So this is what it has to be, and we explain that to them.
Yeah.
But what happens is you stay, you fix it, they're happy, you give them the bill, they're not so happy there, but they're excited that they got heat. 3 days later, they're calling you complaining.
Right.
And meanwhile, it's like, I got you heat, I got you warm, I stopped more damage from happening in your house, and now you wanna, I guess, bigger, but, and that's why it's not a good time for us.
No, it's not. It's not, because the other part of that is we tell people, like, listen, we're coming out. We've had people in zone of heat, frozen. We're coming out. We'll try to get it going. We advise. We're not advising that we try because it's gonna take too long. I ran into a couple houses. First floor zone, second floor zone's working. First floor zone's frozen in a crawl space. It's all packs.
Right.
This thing could be frozen in the wall. I'm like, listen, we'll give it a shot. They want us to give it a shot. I'll get heaters down there, get that going. But we tell them straight up, like, this is how much we're going to charge an hour, and we have to charge this whether we get it or we don't. If we don't fix it, you can tell us to stop at any time and we'll pack up. If the bill, every hour we go to the customer, we tell them what they're up to.
Right.
But if we don't fix it, we still have to get paid because we got to pay for all that time.
Which you feel terrible about.
Right.
But
And that's where it starts to get crazy, where you're like, they might want you to stop, and in the back of your mind, you can't help but think, another 10 minutes and I can get this. Another 10, like you always think in your mind, like another 10 minutes I can get this.
anyone who's ever done it, only they know what that feeling is.
Right.
Because you're just waiting.
But you feel like you're right there. You're right there. And the minute, like, you're so
And the next
close.
thing 5 hours goes by and you're like,
Yeah.
still feel it, but 5 hours just went by.
Right. Like, exactly.
And then you're running up the clock, like almost as if like you got no
Yeah.
else to do.
I'd rather be in and out of the calls.
In an hour.
In an hour, taking care of the ones we know we can take care of, and the ones that I know because I've been doing it for so long, I can tell you that we're not gonna. This is gonna be a struggle. It's 9 degrees outside.
Yeah.
There's wind whipping through your crawl space.
Yeah.
Like as we're doing one section, what we just did is freezing. We got circulars running. It's not a good time. I would say it's. I'm just happy to get through it.
Yeah.
That.
Well, we even had a guy, really nice guy, we did a boiler for like 4 months ago. Not even 2 months ago. Maybe even less, maybe last month. And he called, no heat, one zone. I see the calls come in. I knew right away.
Yeah.
Frozen. It was a brand new boiler. So I called him up. He was very nice. And I said, actually I texted him. I said, it sounds to me like you got a frozen zone. I said, my guys will call you. The guys called and they went there. Sure as shit, zone's frozen. But it's right away like, well, this never happened with the old one. As if it's the boiler's fault. But it's like, all right, I go through the questions. Do you have any overhangs in your house? Yeah. Because that's where it's frozen. And it was the one zone. So, and it turned out that's where it is. But, you get that too. Like, well, this never happened with my old boiler. But it's not the boiler that's freezing. It's the piping that maybe not insulated, the wind's getting on. And I tell people, like, we just did videos the other day, like, you could have a perfectly good heating system running. If you set back that thermostat and that pipe sits there stagnant for 10 minutes, and you get a good wind or a draft on it, it's freezing at that temperature. Like, it just is the way it is. So we always tell everyone to keep the thermostat up at least 68, 70 degrees, especially.
Listen,
It's worth burning the extra fuel or the gas.
Forget that. That's the least of your problems. I tell everybody, like, I knew last Monday what the weather was going to be like into the weekend. I was stressing about it all week. I was watching the weather every single day, preparing, pulling thaw machines out, doing this. Like, I was already preparing my wife and my kids. Like, you're not going to see daddy for a whole weekend long. I might not be home on Christmas. Like, legitimately telling them this.
Right.
And, you're preparing for it. And I'm thinking, and I will say this on this podcast, like, I was hoping the whole time, like, I'm hoping everybody is preparing for their house, like I'm preparing to be at their house. And I tell everybody, turn your thermostats up to 75. Let the zones run.
Yeah.
Let the circulators run. Keep the water moving.
Yeah.
You got 3 days of cold weather. Turn your thermostats up as high as they go and just let them rip.
Yeah.
Don't turn them down.
It's worth spending the extra fuel.
Right. Let them rip. Drip all your faucets.
Yeah.
And if you had stuff freeze in the past, like those homeowners should definitely have to, remember, you got to let those things, you got to know it's going to be 9 degrees.
Yeah.
Run everything, get it going. And I've been telling everybody, I'm like, you get, 5 years where we don't have that colder weather. And all of a sudden, like, after all this, every house I was in, I was like, as soon as this thought
All
out,
forgotten.
I'm like, we're coming back. I'm like, antifreeze. Everybody's heating system's getting antifreeze.
That's a sticky wicket too, though.
Yeah, because then, you got to go back.
You're going to put it in, and then
part
in
of
2
it.
years, they're not going to have you come back.
So I tell everybody, like, here's the deal. Put the antifreeze in, you got to have us back to check it.
Right.
Every year, annually, just have us come back and just stop in and check it. You know, and
We talk about these things all the time. You know, it's
especially if you're one of the people that called for a frozen pipe or frozen no heat and you had a frozen heating zone,
right.
you should be automatically putting the antifreeze in and having your contractor come and check it and getting a maintenance contract with a company like yours,
Right.
and just have them check the glycol levels.
Yeah. We just had a guy who we did a boiler for in Smithtown. He actually he was in charge of all acquisitions for Petro.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Joe, nice guy. He had a spot that goes through like 2 attics to get to where he needs for his air tank.
Right.
And what we did was, because I don't like glycol in the entire system because you could compromise the system.
Mhm.
So we do flat plate heat exchangers. So I'll put a flat plate heat exchanger and pipe it so that zone is antifreeze, but everything in the boiler room is still regular hydronic water. So we do that. I just not a huge fan of the glycol, only because no one ever calls us back 2 years later to add more or test it.
Right.
So, and then that could make a problem. And then it's 10 years down the line, or something rots or whatever. You know, it's your fault. So it's sticky.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's double-edged sword. You know, it's always the guy that picks up the phone's problem.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's the way it ends up being. But you know, you keep answering the phone.
Yeah. So.